the updates to because I know that clarity is near and dear to people's hearts. So they've just sent this profit margin. What do we have? We have 10%. So this panel, and I think I'm going to have them make this banner a different color, but for right now it's working. So our profit margin's at 10%. Let's say we get it to 15. We calculate. Yeah, I'll still have to comment, but okay. So we use this panel to calculate what to play with the business owner. So we're having a conversation. Hey, you want to replace you want to create $500,000 of income. You know, what's in your investment portfolio? Do you have any wealth outside of the business? I said no. Let's say they've got $500,000. The business this size, they should have something socked away. Mortgage debt. I'm just putting in for instances. So as we tab through, and let's say that this person owns 80% of the business. Okay. So they need 12,200,000 in net proceeds. And if we assume 7% in fees and 20%, so we need the business to be worth, this is a, you know, it's part of the growth conversation. We need the business to be worth $21 million in order for the 80% owner to net 12,200,000. And then we get into the planner, and this pulls the revenue, by the way, from the clarity level 1. What we haven't yet done is connect this. So put in an industry selector and have it pull the multiple. That'll come, but for right now, this works beautifully. So our target value is 21 million. Right now, its best case scenario is worth 9. And this guy said he wants to, this woman, Madam CEO, has said she wants to cash out in 5 years. And I just put in a multiple. So now we play the multiple. This is how we play the multiple game. So we're going to need to do 30 million. So we're at 15, right? 15 in revenue. So we need to double revenue in 5 years. Do you think that's possible? Well, you know, yes, no, maybe so. The doubling revenue in 5 years means robust growth, 20% a year, right? Rough numbers tell me. And so if we play with, they've got a 10% profit margin. We can, you know, add 5. Can we get your profit margin up to 15? That sounds doable. What if we take you out to 8 years? What does that do for your value? Get the commas in here. So this would give us revenue of 43. So we will have overshot. Anyway, we get there in year 5, actually. So, and if we play with the multiple, take them up to 6 and calculate. And now we can start backing back down the years and saying, okay, is this doable for you? I have not tested this yet, guys. I mean, I've tested it in previous iterations, but so here we are at 15 and 1.5. So 29 with 4.3. The commas, they were okay. So I've now submitted that, and it should be in the dashboard. Anyway, so cool. 98% there.
Hey, George.
Yes, Steve.
The peanut gallery.
Please.
I'm disappointed that you don't calculate growth rate and display it. Just by the way.
That's well, I hope you're not bitterly disappointed. I will add that. I'll have that added.
Because that makes a really good discussion point.
Absolutely. Consider it done.
Okay. Good.
It's funny because I was scrolling around like, isn't there? So if we go in here and range of business value, okay, they haven't. Okay, and let's see, like here. Okay. Cool. Well, I'll be testing it this evening. We're running back down to Boston. But it's in your dashboard. So yeah.
I've run a couple business owners through it last week, I guess, and generally good responses. And so check marks.
Good. Yeah, there's some, I know that Larry and Barry and Andy, I know there are several people, I believe Bob, people have been using it with actual clients. Here's Larry. And with very good results. So that's exciting. And I've been showing it to people who are considering participating in the next launch course and getting very positive reactions as well. Now that's different than using it with a client, but hey, Larry, how are you, man?
Hey, good morning. I'm driving, so I'm just gonna listen in for a bit.
It's Steve Duke, Jeff Ketchum, and George. So we have a smaller group. I think we had like 10 or 12 guys last week.
Yeah, it was a big group.
Yeah, big group. But holiday weekend. Yeah, actually, I think the last three we've had, standing room only, which is great. Hey, there's a webinar tomorrow at noon Eastern on sales process. If you guys don't have that on your calendar yet, I'm going to talk about stages of the buyer's journey, quantifying those stages, and then what collateral, what resource will we share with the client at what suggested at each stage. And I'm excited. That's going to be fun. It's one we've talked about doing for a long time, and I'm excited to put it on. So, yeah.
Excellent. Good. On that, what I'm interested in learning is I have a couple of clients that have real trouble getting their salespeople to have their mindset around the buyer and their journey as salespeople. And so not only am I going to listen from my own needs or perspective, but what takeaways I have for these two clients.
Yes. And when we take, so the resource that I'm going to put in your hands, guys, as growth drivers is, and you may have noticed, you guys may not have noticed, but we're starting to put resources into areas where there are people who have yet to make the membership decision. So you guys can see the resources freely, and others can't. So if they say, I couldn't find that, tell them to call George. They know. And the resource I'm going to put in the in circle for you guys is a buyer's journey for an advisor. Now it was very straightforward, the work of an hour to convert that to something that you could just give to your client. Hey, like the flash report, start with this. I'm not a sales guru, but this is effective, and it's a great place to start. Because the sales, whoever's running sales should be able, if that's a kind of a warning flag, if they can't figure out how to adapt it to the business, they should get some help. They should get some coaching. Does that make sense, Larry?
It does. The rate limiting effect of all of our good advice is the potential lack of talent, commitment, and competency of the person we're coaching. Yes. And I've been asked by these CEOs to help coach their salespeople a few times, and it doesn't work because they don't have that mindset, the skill set, the desire to think differently about how they approach their clients. And so I go back to the owner in one case, the CEO in the other, and say, hey, you have a hard decision. We talked about it. You couldn't penetrate them. You asked me to try. I can't. There's a reason. that they're the wrong people for the job.
You know,
Yep.
Scott Barth submitted a great case. I'll convert it to a PDF and put it in, if I haven't done it already. I've been a busy boy. But Scott Barth submitted a case, and part of the transformation that the business went through was to go from sort of blocked sales, what you've just described, Larry, and bringing in an outside fractional sales professional to help fix it, and maybe even hiring permanent talent in that department, and just watching revenues ramp up beautifully. So, you know, remember what sales used to be a dirty word, right? And maybe still in some corners it is. Nothing happens until something's sold, though. And sales is a profession, and there's a lot of science behind it. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I've mentioned this book all the time. Jeff, maybe you haven't heard of it. It's the Sales Acceleration Formula by Mark with a K, Roberge, Roberge, Sales Acceleration Formula. And his story real quick is there were 3 people at HubSpot. He was hired he was an MIT engineer. These guys all came out of MIT. He was an MIT engineer. They hired him to build a sales, to do sales for them. And he didn't know Mark Roberge's father was an accomplished sales professional. And Mark created the system. So when he joined HubSpot, they had $300,000 a year in revenue. And he built the sales process, built and ran the sales process that took him past 100 million through the IPO. And then I think he decided he had other things he wanted to spend his time doing. Take your chips off the table sometimes, but it's a fantastic book. So that book inspired me to create the sales process that we used at Core Value, that we use at Growth Drive, and that I'm going to be sharing tomorrow. And it needs a webinar, because once you get it, it's really easy to use, but it takes some orientation on the different parts of the we print it out on an 11 by 17 and cardboard. And that's the thing you see me waving around, that multicolored sheet. Every time I say sales process, up it comes. But it lives on my conference table next to my desk. And it's, even though I wrote it, I sometimes you need a reminder.
I assume that's going to be recorded, George.
It will be recorded, Steve. Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be posted. It'll be posted on, I may edit it down and post it on YouTube, but it'll be posted. The whole thing will be posted in the community.
Okay. Yeah, I've got 2 other meetings at the same time, so
my feelings aren't hurt.
sorry.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Larry, this is Jeff. How do you plan on addressing this with them? Or, I mean, like, what's the next step?
Great question.
But one is I just passed his business. It's funny. I just remarked, oh, that's Ken's business right there. And I'll see him Friday, and we're still addressing it. So the reality is that he could not move his salesperson. It's a highly technical sales. It's selling financial software to the big boys and girls of finance. And it's a very successful company, but the board wants them to grow. And growth means new customers, new clients. And the salesperson is an account manager, not a salesperson. So while he wanted me to coach him, the owner, CEO, to help him help this person, that didn't work. Then he asked me to meet with him. That didn't work. So what's the solution? He's moving to this guy to account management, and he has to hire a true technical software, financial software sales expert. It's the only way to do it. So he's gone through the interviews, offered twice, and both have said no. And he's still at the point looking for a sales professional to fill the role. In the meantime, what we've built out is a sales process, which I call the sales funnel. And what that process is, step by step, with the buyer's perspective in mind. So we have that in a workshop ready to go when he gets the new salesperson. In the case of the other company, I told them that you'll be swimming uphill forever with this guy. And eventually she put pressure on him and he quit. And so she is
Swimming
that just
uphill.
happened.
I love it.
Yeah, swimming uphill forever. You know, rolling that what's it, the Greek mythology of
Sisyphus.
Sisyphus
Yep.
pushing
Yep.
that boulder forever up until she got it and decided to put pressure on him. No sales plan, sales process would have helped. He was incompetent. She relied on him for years with poor results. And he never was measured on results, just salary. So she made a big decision to put the pressure on him. He finally quit recently. And now we have to get together to decide what next steps. But, you know, once in a while, companies get lucky. They get superstar salespeople who have whether it's conscious or not, a sales plan, a sales process, and they're highly competent at what they do, and they're well rewarded, and they fit into the culture and well accepted. But that's rare. Most of the time, you don't have those type of people, and you have to build the right sales, not only mindset, but process and plan, and train people to be competent and rewarded properly. And a lot of these small to mid-market business owners have no clue on that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Larry. Hey, Jeff, this is your area of expertise. I'd love your thoughts on, finding sales talent, and also the power, do you have any experience with people hiring two people at the same time? And is that exponentially more successful?
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for sharing that perspective, Larry. I actually learned or was reminded of several things as you were talking. To your point, George, actually, I'm going to go upstream of that, right? So rather than talking about recruiting and hiring, I'm going to address this from a planning standpoint. Like, I think everything, 80% of a successful hire starts in the planning stage. It starts with having the right discussions. It starts with documenting that in terms of a job model. And, I've never seen a job model or description that integrates expectations and accountabilities into it. Never seen one, right? And so I'm really big on that. And the other thing that you can integrate is culture, right? Mm-hmm. What are the cultural aspects of working here? Because that will either attract or it'll turn away candidates. But I think by documenting in a good job model, those two things that I just mentioned, that goes a long way, because all of a sudden that document becomes living and breathing throughout the hiring process, throughout the onboarding process, throughout integrating that new salesperson into the business. It certainly becomes relevant during semi-annual and annual reviews. So I think the key to successful recruiting is really upstream of that, in the planning stage, and making sure we're all aligned and where we're headed to. And then to your second question, George, yeah, I mean, you can. I've done that personally, right? You hire two people, and the best of the two stays. But I think you can prevent a lot of turnover, again, in that planning stage, right? Really documenting, again, I'm going to hit on the culture of the business, the opportunity. Every company is unique. Every opportunity is unique. If you can really hone in on what the opportunity is there, lots of times you won't end up with offers being turned down, because you're attracting someone who is really genuinely interested in that opportunity versus it just being another job.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because you're really talking about cultural alignment, right?
Yeah.
And we talk in the Growth Drive launch course, shameless plug, we do talk about job descriptions with accountability, right? If and I'll stop myself for once. But that's a great point, Jeff. And you know, in my experience, hiring two people, I'm not looking to get rid of one. I found that they collaborate and become more successful more quickly. As long as they both are, at your point about the planning, making sure you find the right people, so you're starting at least with the right raw materials, is the planning is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I call it the blueprint for a hire. And it really is, if you think about this from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah. And
Well,
the mentality that the salesperson, the CEO should want the salesperson to make more than them. You have an unlimited upside, and I want you, I'm going to support you. I want you to out earn me. And that's a very powerful message to deliver. But the way to do it is to, you know, close deals. That is the measure. That's what you're accountable for revenue. So, yeah.
well, good, Jeff. That was excellent.
That was
Thanks
excellent.
for
Thanks, Jeff.
that. That's a very big part of also what I try to bring is move away from org charts and job descriptions and more to from day one strategically think through hiring as a part of culture, a part of long-term thinking, strategic thinking, and in setting the right expectations. You know, in a lot of my presentations, when I speak about when do you begin setting expectations, my answer, I give it multiple choice. The answer is during the first interview. And that is when you begin to define the culture of working here and have that interchange. But Jeff, I might tap into you to chat more about these two challenges. But thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was-
anytime.
Hey,
Yeah,
guys,
Jeff, I have a question. Since
ahead.
Charleston, what have you taken away and applied in your practice?
Oh my gosh. There's been so much that I'm even still working on, you know, to this day. So there's two things that I walked away from Charleston with. Number one is a preliminary but very insightful understanding of the importance of the growth conversation. I mean, that was like a huge eye opener. And so I'm working on that right now. But I'm also going back with George privately and starting from the beginning. It's like, what's the ideal buyer profile, or my ideal client? What do they look like? What are their drivers? What are they thinking about? Where are their pain points, et cetera? And we're actually talking about that tomorrow, because I've been working on that homework during vacation time. So yeah, it's those two things in particular have been very, very helpful. And, you know, I'm kind of taking this one step at a time, Larry, just due to, you know, a variety of factors, other business, you know, managing day-to-day business, things like that. But I want to set this up right, because I view this as being transforming for my business.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to our meeting. That's tomorrow. Yeah, that'll be fun. Hey guys, I hate to do this. I'm going to leave the three of you. We're driving down for our follow-up in Boston, so I have to sign off.
Don't make me monitor, because I got to run to an appointment, George.
Well, maybe we should say, hey, it's been half an hour. Let's call it. And okay, Jeff says thumbs up. Larry, we have your beautiful face
Awesome.
as a freeze frame.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good, man. You're good. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Thanks for popping
By
out.
the way,
Guys,
I love your hairstyle. Love
thank
it.
you so much.
You're a good man. All right, guys.
All right,
I'll
gentlemen,
talk to you, George.
have a great
Thank you.
week. See you next week.
Okay,
Jeff, I'll see you
good.
tomorrow. Okay, be well.